Okay, cool. Hi everyone, welcome back to Cafe UAL, where we have coffee chat with UAL academics. And at the end of this podcast, we want you, aka prospective students, can have deeper insights to the course, what module you'll be studying, or simply who you'll be working with. And today I myself welcome two special guests, and my only guest in USSS, which is Joe and Carla. Very nice to see you two today.
See you.
Yeah. Before jumping straight into the podcast, I really hope you guys can introduce yourself, but can you guys introduce each other? Like, can Carla introduce Joe and vice versa?
Plot twist. You could go first.
Okay, so this is Carla Trimvamben.
Okay.
She is the current co-program leader of the Dance Urban Practice course, and she's also the Director of Education and Experience for the whole of ACI, which is the Arts and Creative Industry School.
Lots of titles.
Yes. This is the lovely Dr. Jo Reid, and she's the other co-program leader of the Dance Urban Practice course here at USS, and an amazing practitioner on the program, and just all round amazing person.
And she's an awesome practitioner as well. Yeah.
That's really sweet. Is there anything you want to add in about yourself that the other person haven't included yet? Should we go with Carla first?
I think I'm Mauritian. British Mauritian.
Oh.
Yay. That's the only thing. I think when we go through the questions, you might see things might unpack. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, you can tell that I don't really like to talk about myself. There we go.
No, I forgot to say that Carla's also an artist, practitioner, dancer, many years in the field. So yeah.
Amazing. And what about yourself?
I suppose probably the only other kind of interesting thing is I'm also a trainee psychotherapist. So I'm kind of doing that alongside everything else.
Oh, okay, cool.
Alongside a full-time job, doing another degree. Yeah.
Busy times.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Busy schedule. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. And after your introductions, I have a feeling that you both have academic experience plus industry experience. How does that shape your research interests and topics into the course that you're doing? Should we go with?
Yeah, I suppose it's sometimes it's something that you take for granted in the sense that it's not an active thought in that sense. It just happens because of the experience. I feel like for myself it's just constantly going, so but what does it feel like out in the real world? What does it feel like in my body as an artist or a practitioner? I don't feel like on the course we all talk about how the practice and the theory is embodied and it's integrated to a point where you're trying not to separate them because it's something that is happening internally. You're constantly thinking about, but it's not something that you want to separate too much, otherwise it becomes very disjointed.
Yeah.
So I suppose when we're looking at the students, and that's the thing, a lot of our research is really integrated within our teaching. It's going, right, so what do they need? What does our research then how does it need to align so that students can have things that they can look at? Because a lot of the stuff that we're doing is not documented as thoroughly or as much as other dance forms. So it's going, right, what can the students use and make sure that we can expand it for the dance forms that they are looking at that don't have enough. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like that concept of the body and the mind kind of like joins together. Is that into dance?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing it right now. It's not disjointed in that sense. I mean, I'm talking with my hands to make it like, but in general, you're in your mind's in your body. So to disjoint it that way, you lose a sense of understanding. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, like just thinking about the idea of learning a dance form in terms of everyone thinks that that's a practical thing, but actually there's still theoretical academic aspects to that. You have to understand the socio-political context of the dance form that you're learning about. You might learn about its cultural context in quite a lot of detail. So in a technique class, you'll still be writing notes, you'll still be researching, there's still that kind of critical thinking process that's happening, and that's true of all of the aspects of our program. So I think that's also true of our research as well. And certainly, you know, most of our projects between us have featured aspects of theory and practice, and the integration of the two is kind of what we're interested in, I think.
Yeah. In the beginning, I introduced Joe as like a practitioner. A lot of people say pracademic. Doesn't that sound really weird?
No, it makes sense.
It's joining the two together, but I think that if we can, like the practitioner isn't just practical. So a lot of people just think when you're saying practitioner that it's just like you're just going in and doing the practice of it all. But you know, as what Joe says, like it's inclusive, and I think we can like push that a bit more in that sense that. Sometimes it's used as not a derogatory but kind of derogatory term to separate like the theorists and the practitioners, whereas that inclusive idea of like the theory being embedded in what you're doing, you have to know what you're doing to do it in practice. There's especially in the university setting, because you're unpacking that your responsibility of teaching and learning the next for the next generation there's a major responsibility in that. So to unpack that is not just going into a studio and just going right 5, 6, 7, 8 follow me. So just to clarify that at the beginning, because some people might be like, oh, but Joe is more than a practitioner. But if we could change the perspective of what that term is, then hopefully that would be enough.
Yeah, I think it came back to the point that we talked like prior to the recording session. What is like the difference between BA urban dance and BA urban dance practice? So would you mind like elaborate it for a bit for the audience and also me myself to understand how the course looks like and what will students get as the outcomes?
Should do a bit of a tag team on this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So the program name originally, Dance Urban Practice, was set up to reflect the fact that we were looking at cities and dance in kind of city locations, and also movement practices of the city, so aspects like capoeira, for example, which you could argue is maybe dance movement, it kind of somewhere between the two. So the program is celebrating dance forms that have historically not been included as what we would describe as the canon, so which often features dance forms like ballet and contemporary dance, and then everything else is a kind of less than or for entertainment purposes, and this kind of hierarchy that we see in many art forms and many creative disciplines. So the program was set up aiming to really try and disrupt that and challenge that, and as a result students study dance forms, a wide range of Afro-diasporic dance forms, also dance forms from the Asian diasporic, and looking at popular and social dance practices in a way that kind of sets them up as technical disciplines of study that have a rich culture, history for the purpose of the course.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
You'd see, so when I studied at uni many moons ago, you'd see kind of one module of jazz. And it's like, well, you know, in terms, so the students here, they're doing all of their modules that has different cultures embedded into the modules. So it's not just a module of this, a module of that. It's like what Joe said, it's that expansive idea of like really going into understanding and identifying the similarities and differences between our cultures, our dance cultures, and coming to the root idea of what movement is in general, and then how does it differ for different cultures as well. So the reason why it says dance urban practices and not urban dance, because that's a very specific genre of dance, and also it's quite problematic as well in terms of the coded language of what urban means.
It's something we're looking at actually a lot, but we also really have to take into account the element of discoverability of the programme. And I know, Carla, that's a point you raised before, because we have a lot of international students who the first thing they type in to try and find our programme is urban dance. So there's that element that we're taking into consideration about how do people find us and how important naming is, and how we kind of negotiate that moving forwards with the world that's changing that we live in.
Talking a bit about problematic terms and challenges, right? I think it's happened to like a whole ACI in general, and then I think with dance as an academic profession itself. So do you guys think there are myths around dance as an academic profession, and what are your most heard terms or sentences that you usually hear?
So when I told my dad that I was going to do dance, like, what are you going to do that for? You're not going to get any money from that. You're not going to. It's not academic. So I went down the road of going, oh, maybe not. I'll be an accountant.
Oh, okay. That's a big shift.
I was like, okay, well, I'll do that, and I can do my dancing on the side because it can be a hobby, because it's like entertainment. I can do that, and then I did a work placement for like 2 weeks in an accountancy office, and I think I cried blood for like 2 weeks. I was like, no, definitely not going to do that. But yeah, the myth is that it's not a viable career option. That's like, for me, my personal experience. It's been a labour of love to show immediate circles that, and I say immediate circles to, it echoes what society feels as a general, that it's a fad. Oh, she'll get over it. She'll go into something serious. That it's not serious. It's not valuable. So I think there's the myth in that, because where I started off as teaching dance in communities, mostly around Newham, and then got into university, and through dance I've worked myself up into the position that I am today. Without that experience of dance, I wouldn't be in the role that I am today. The transferable skills of learning as a dancer, how to negotiate and engage with people, it's almost, for me, choreographing the way that I'm moving and engaging and taking on tasks and thinking about the way that things, like a vision, and that's from my training. So the myth is that it's not viable. The reality is that a lot of it opens so many doors.
What's your point?
Yeah, I think I agree, and I had many similar things said to me, like, "What, you can do a degree in dance?" Still you hear that, and you sort of explain, and you have your kind of script in a way that you share. But yeah, I think it's really. There are always these myths with the arts, I think, and probably many other professions as well, where people have this really kind of like naive understanding of what it is that people actually do that work in that world. And I think the arts is particularly, has that struggle, at the moment as well, because of the government, and perhaps that kind of how that plays in and how the arts is supported within the UK and beyond. So I think it's always an ongoing struggle. It's always sort of fighting for legitimacy, I think, in a way. And you kind of, I don't know, you sort of build your armour and you kind of get ready for those conversations, and you're always ready to have those conversations. But often the proof is in the pudding of what we do, so it sort of speaks for itself. But I think that's a huge myth, is that it's not, you know, it's not serious, or you can't have a lasting career. And of course it is hard, there's no doubt about it. It's not the same as, you know, doing a degree in a subject where you have an automatic pathway into an apprenticeship and that kind of structure. So there are challenges, but it's also hugely rewarding as well.
Like, how do you work it out with your current students? Like, how do you work with them? Like, kind of like, that's the myths, or kill it?
Well, so I think one of the things is to be really honest, with the students, and we are from the beginning. It's like if you want to have a sustainable career in dance, your portfolio career building starts from today, first day of first year. It's not something you're going to wait till your final year to think about. We're going to embed these aspects into the course right from first year. So we do have careers focused aspects all the way through the programme to kind of support students to do that. So a lot of it is being honest, being realistic, but also helping students to understand, or supporting them to discover for themselves how their skills can be applied in so many different things. Because many of them, you know, may choose to transfer those skills into something else, be it kind of more interdisciplinary, so they're working with dance, but also photography or videography or fashion or drama or music or any of these other things. So yeah, I think it is, for me, I know in the way that we teach, it's really about honesty and being upfront and making that a priority from day one.
Yeah, and it goes back to I think one of your first questions around the way that we match our industry and our academic sides. We've had portfolio careers where I've either been teaching, I've done stage management, I've worked in so many different areas. So that experience comes into the way that we look at how we design the program. To make, because we're still integrated within the industry, doing stuff, and speaking to other people, making those partnerships. We saw one of the teachers in the hallway. Clara Bajado, she has a company called Interhouse, and the students do placement with her as well. So that bridging of what Joe was identifying of like that industry into the curriculum, we try and do that so that the students realise that networking doesn't have to be this really kind of anxious, building thing. Like they're networking. They're networking with the industry professionals on the programme because they're teaching them. So those links are really integral for us to be made on the programme because of the experiences that we had, whether positive or negative.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I think it's the time where it's the gig economy, where you need to put yourself out there, you know, bring it in. Like, plus that we have TikTok, Instagram, where you can actually get yourself out there much more easier compared to like you guys in the past.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point.
I mean, you know, this idea of entrepreneurship, I mean, I don't know if that term was as widely used when I was, you know, trying to figure out what my career was. But yeah, I think looking back retrospectively, I'm like, wow, we were hustlers, creative hustlers, because you need to make it work. You need to make it work. If you're wanting to do the thing that you love, the amount of time, energy, perseverance, commitment, that, you know, that's something that I think that the people that are, you know, they do well is because of that. Maybe it's not 100% of their talent, it's that commitment. And that's what we try and, you know, show the students in the programme, that commitment, showing up, being here on time, and like all those lessons, they're for a reason. Sometimes I think they don't realise that it's for a reason. They think that we're trying to be like difficult. But no, it's because that professional practice has to start here, and it's probably started from before. A
Mm.
lot of our students are working on, doing stuff already. So they're seeing the links. But yeah, it's at the forefront of our minds constantly.
Okay, cool. And I think that's really inspirational, and I think the students can actually like be aware later. I think later stage in their career, and like, oh, this is what actually Colin Joe want us to do, and actually building is for us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Before closing this podcast, plus like the other room won't play the bands and the drums and stuff, and then you guys need to have your meeting as well. So what is that one piece of advice you would give for students who want to join ACI or who want to join BA Dance Urban Practice before they join? What's that one piece of advice?
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, go for it.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Just try. There are a lot of students that are questioning themselves. It's a time of uncertainty, and I think that if you have that feeling that you just want to try something, and you know that you're looking at the course prospectus, or you're looking online or whatever, and something sings to you, just try, apply. Look on us on Instagram and just feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, 100%, and also coming with an open, curious mind, whatever your chosen discipline within ACI. I think to be open-minded and curious, and know that you don't know in a way. So to be kind of comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's kind of what a degree demands.
That's very good advice. Yeah.
And I think if you have that approach and you're prepared to sustain that, then we welcome you.
Yeah, I think those are really great advice, because like I myself as an international student was really scared when I first arrived in the UK, but I make it here for 3 years. I made it here. I made it here, and I think they can actually take the advice and then just go for it, either ACI, UEL, or Dance Urban Practice, that they can achieve a lot. And thank you so much for me today. And just one last thing before we close the podcast. Thank you everyone for listening for this episode. If you're interested in the course, please contact their Instagram. It's very popular. They're really popular, very active on Instagram. Literally, you're actually like Dance Urban Practice is the first Instagram account I follow for UEL. Yeah, this is the first account. Like it popped up first, and I just follow. I even follow it before. I follow UEL.
Don't say that too loud.
Yeah, but if you have any questions, feel free to email the school or just send a message on Instagram, and I think you guys would be more happy to answer that. Thank you so much, Michi, for joining today. It's a really lovely conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Great.